Live from the Buffalo Wild Wings studios, it's time to get locked into the best Sooner recruiting and football news with Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. You lock it up. Lock it up.
Hit the guys up on the Riverwind Casino call-in line at 405-329-9000 or text the show at 405-651-3439.
Do it! Just do it!
Now, with Locked In, here's Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
All right, breaking news. Breaking news right off the bat. We need some hype beats, Grayson Singleton.
All right, you'll have to give me a second to...
No, I'm just kidding.
I know you are. What's going on?
Ivan Carion is back. How about that? Ivan Carion is withdrawing from the transfer portal and will be back at Oklahoma in 2026.
You know what's wild about that?
What's that?
Is because there was an article, I believe it was on On3 or maybe ESPN, where they were talking about all the players who had gotten into the portal and now they're trying to get their spot back at their former institution. But the spot's already been filled just because there's so many people in the portal. I saw that this weekend. So it is kind of interesting that we kick off our show and my first show back with that. But, good for him that he had a landing spot to come back to, and he's going to be playing college football this year.
Now, here's what's fascinating. For those that aren't familiar with Ivan Carion, I imagine many of you are. But for those that aren't, 6'6" wide receiver, rising junior from Odessa, Texas, has played sparsely, contributed sparsely for Oklahoma in his first 2 years on campus. But they like him a lot. They were more than receptive when he told them, hey, I'd like to come back. I'm interested in maybe coming back. And in the end, they made it happen. Jim Nagy and the crew made it happen with Ivan Carion. He's going to return for his junior season at Oklahoma. But here's what's fascinating is we just broke this story over at OUinsider.com less than 10 minutes ago. And this was the statement that Carion's agency provided to OUinsider.com from Ivan himself. I want you to tell me what stands out here. OU has always been my home and where I have always wanted to play. Coach Jones has been with me and mentored me from day one, and with the addition of Coach Witten, it solidified that OU is the premier program in the country and where I want to be. What stands out to you there? What jumps out at you?
I mean, the Jason Witten edition.
Bingo.
Yeah.
We've had this conversation so many times over with Ivan Carion.
Are they finally going to do it?
Is it finally happening? Is that the conclusion that we are to draw here? Is him referencing Jason Witten in this statement an indication that a position change might be incoming? Now, to be honest, I don't actually see the appeal in it from a business standpoint, from a playing time standpoint, because I don't know that I even if Ivan Carion does transition to tight end and transitions pretty seamlessly, how many snaps are there going to be for a guy like that next year when you have Hayden Hansen, Rocky Beers, and Jack Van Dorselaer coming in? 3 proven tight ends who have played at a high level, albeit in different capacities as blockers and pass catchers. But Jason Witten has a really strong crop of transfer tight ends. All 3 of those guys are going to be in the rotation. Are there any snaps left for Ivan Carion if he makes that transition in 26?
I mean, barring injury, probably not. But let me ask you this question too, Parker. Are there any snaps available for him to take at wide receiver?
I mean, I admittedly, the path to playing time isn't much easier for him there, but you got 3 wide receivers on the field at a time, generally, at Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Usually it's only 1 tight end, sometimes 2. But could this perhaps be a redshirt type of year for Ivan Carion? Because he didn't take that as a true freshman. He couldn't.
That's right.
Oklahoma was so thin at wide receiver that he got forced into action long before they ever anticipated him having to see the field or him being able to see the field in meaningful situations for Oklahoma. So might this be a year where you just tell Ivan Carion, hey, man, you're going to play non-con? You're going to get your 4 games in, or 9 games as the case may be by that point.
Jeez Louise.
But you're going to play in the non-con. You're going to get your feet wet at tight end if indeed this is the transition that will be happening with Ivan Carion. And this is pure speculation on my part. Nothing confirmed, nothing certain. But whether he's playing wide receiver or tight end, might this just be the type of year where you tell Ivan Carion, you're going to redshirt, we'll see where you're at in 2027, but we got things covered, and you have some areas in your game that you need to shore up and grow in the meantime?
I think it would be beneficial for him to do so. But again, the only thing I'm thinking of is how do you communicate that to a player who's been playing and then all of a sudden say, hey, we're going to shut you down at 4 games in your junior year? Like, it's easier to do that to somebody as a freshman, obviously, because that's traditionally been part of the calculus, right? But you play 1 year, you play another year. All right, man, we're going to pump the brakes here a second. I don't know how you sell a guy on that, which is why, as we go through this conversation, it's kind of interesting that he decided to come back.
And here's how you sell a guy like that on it, Grayson. Here's how. Well, I guess you know what? I'm going to approach this from a completely different angle for a second. Do you have to sell him on it? Because I will tell you this about the Ivan Carion portal dalliance. He had offers that would have paid him significantly more money elsewhere in college football when he hit the transfer portal than he was currently making at OU or will make at OU in 2026. So this is a guy, and I think that statement lends credence to this notion, this is a guy that wants to be a Sooner. This is a guy that loves wearing that uniform. And so if you, as a staff, tell Ivan Carion, we recognize your love for the university, we recognize that you want to do what's best not only for you but for this institution, and you want to be great here and here specifically, in recognition of all of that, we're telling you that the best thing for your development here is to take a red shirt in 2026. I think he would welcome that with open arms. I don't think there's any salesmanship required at that point.
And if he is so attached to the university, that would probably be what is required to get him back. You know, you just look at it from a playing time and a business standpoint, though. And obviously, look, if the emotional affinity outweighs the business side of things, absolutely. You got a good player there. You never know what could happen on the injury front. You never know what could happen. Somebody just doesn't translate to the new room, and you've got him in there. We'll see. But if you've established a culture where he says, I don't want to leave him at Jones, and I'm excited about Jason Witten, then good on you.
Man, it's a shame we're on YouTube right now, or we would be bumping Carry On My Wayward Son.
No, for
we
real.
would be. We can't because YouTube would nuke us. But if you didn't know, now you know we're on YouTube. Search KREF Sports in your YouTube search bar. We will pop up. Subscribe so that you don't miss a show. But however you're listening today, via the KREF app, via the traditional radio airwaves, or via YouTube, thanks for making us a part of your Monday. Parker Thune, Grayson Singleton with you. Now, I want to remind you before we move any further, the show is brought to you by Dorsey Jones GMC in El Reno. If you find yourself in need of a new vehicle, check out Dorsey Jones. GMC, of course, offers some of the most reliable trucks and SUVs on the road today, and Dorsey Jones complements that with their fantastic and personal service, including half-price oil changes on Saturdays. 405-651-3439 is the text line. Mike Honcho said, relax, Chris Collinsworth. Did you say here's a guy, or did I say here's a guy?
I was about to say, which one of us said now here's a guy?
Man, I realized this the other day.
Go for it.
Well, I think it was last night watching that Rams-Bears game.
Uh-huh.
Man, Chris Collinsworth gets memed so hard, but he's such a good color commentator.
Yeah, he
like
really
that dude
is.
He knows ball. Certified ball knower, right?
Never understood the hate toward Chris Collinsworth. I know he can be over dramatic, and I know that he loves the big play and that his voice cracks and all that stuff. Here's a guy that really loves the game. He loves the game, and here's a guy that knows the game. And him and Tarico are going to call a fantastic Super Bowl.
Oh, we have a Doug and Norman text directed at you. This will be fun.
Oh.
Grayson.
Yo.
You just said that Ivan Carion has been playing, and how do you tell him you have to quote-unquote shut him down? Please tell me where he has been playing and how many snaps he has been on the field.
I feel like you took that a little bit too literally, Doug. You go from playing how you had to in 2024. He did not redshirt in 2025. I'm just saying it's a little bit of an awkward timeline to not redshirt 2 years and then all of a sudden do it in your junior year. That's all I'm saying.
Denver from Indiana says, I got chills listening to Gabe Eichert talk about legacy. I salute Ivan Carion if he comes back. He gets a place to call home 20 years from now when the money is likely gone. Well, the football money, yes. But no, it's a good point. It was a conversation we had, I believe, on the Rush Friday. Ted and I talked about it at length. Is there are so many guys that as they bounce around to 3, 4, 5 different schools, there's never going to be a school that they get to call home when they're 40, 50 years old.
You and I talked about this last week.
Ivan Carion will get to call Oklahoma home.
And there's a lot of benefits that come from that.
It's going to be fun if he ever truly breaks out at Oklahoma. I hope that happens. Really, really good kid. Easy guy to root for. And, man, he kind of burnt the boats to come to Oklahoma because he was committed to Texas Tech at the time. And, West Texas kids, the good ones, a lot of them go to Texas Tech. The majority of them go to Texas Tech. And he visited Oklahoma, camped to earn the offer, visited Oklahoma and decided, no, man, this is where I want to be. And decommitted from Tech, left him at the altar, came to OU, and saw the field, wrapped up his true freshman season with 7 catches for 72 yards in the Armed Forces Bowl against Navy. So the flashes have been there with Ivan Carion. And the thing that everyone said about Carion throughout the offseason that preceded the 2025 campaign was that he had gotten a lot better at separating. Now, clearly it ain't good enough, at least not yet, because he played very minimally for Oklahoma in 2025. But if this is a guy that continues to develop and grow and improve, then let's say on the other side of a redshirt year in 2026, come 2027, Isaiah Satania's cleared out, Jermichael Carter's cleared out, Trell Harris is cleared out. There will be an opportunity for Ivan Carion to come seize a significant share of the snaps at that point.
And also at that point, you have to remember, would he have made that transition to tight end or not? And then you don't want him to do that and then have to go back. That's a lot to put on somebody's plate. You ready for a hot text?
Yeah, come on.
From the
what do we
YouTube
got?
chat. This is from the YouTube chat. Off Script Sports says, I'm disappointed in OU's portal class. I'm disappointed because I think the staff believes they are close with the main guys from last year, and I just don't believe those dudes are good enough. We haven't scored a touchdown in 2 years against Texas, and they got, get this, significantly better than Oklahoma. Where do you want to start with that, PT?
The philosophies that Oklahoma and Texas espoused with regard to their portal attack were very different. And I'm not here to say that one was right and one was wrong, because time will tell. But Oklahoma approached the portal with a collective mindset along the lines of, hey, look, we're bringing a lot of key guys back. We're bringing a lot of our nucleus back. We just need to add a few pieces here and there, and we can be right back in the college football playoff in 2026. And we also don't have to sell all the way out to do so. We don't have to go spend $10 million in the portal to get what we feel that we need. Then you had Texas, who sacrificed a lot of depth, including a guy like Parker Livingston, who wound up at Oklahoma, right? They sacrificed a ton of their depth to clear out the financial space to go land some of the absolute best players in the transfer portal. Cam Coleman, Dalen Smothers, Ray Leak Brown, etc. They're in the mix for Jordan Seaton, even though it doesn't look like he's going to wind up there right now. If I'm a betting man, I'm saying Miami. But Texas's philosophy seems to be, hey, we're going all in for 2026. We are going all in to try and win a national title in 2026. And I don't really fault them for it, Grayson, because as I've mentioned before, I've heard rumblings that Steve Sarkisian isn't long for the Texas job and will be looking elsewhere by the time the 2026 season wraps up. His decision, to be clear, not Texas's. But not only that, this is more than likely the last year you have with Arch Manning.
Oh, yeah.
Who is almost assuredly headed to the NFL after 2026. So, you're Texas. You're the powers that be in those offices. I understand why you'd be sitting there thinking, are we going to have it this good again for a little while?
Mm-hmm.
Or is this going to be our last chance? Our last chance till we have the chance to truly reload as an organization, to really make a clear and a legitimate push for a national title. So Texas is going all out for 2026.
As they should.
Oklahoma, they're a little bit more measured, a little bit more calculated in their approach. Their feeling is we were really good in 2025. We can be really good again, maybe even championship caliber in 2026, but we don't have to make the same sacrifices that Texas is making in order to try to put it all together in 2026 at the potential expense of being competitive on that level in 27 and 28 on the other side.
Yeah, no doubt. And I would say Texas has more star power than Oklahoma. I don't think you can dispute that at all. Better quarterback, probably better number one wide receiver, probably better running back room, and then one of the premier pass rushers in all of college football in Colin Simmons. So I would say Texas has more star power.
Mm-hmm.
Who has the better team, though, is a lot more up in the air. Because like you mentioned, Texas is one or two catastrophic injuries away from being 6-6.
Yeah, and I would argue this as well. Oklahoma's better in the trenches on both sides.
Absolutely.
In 26, and that's going to matter.
Yeah.
As things project right now, Oklahoma's going to be better in the trenches.
Well, we said that this year. We did say that this year coming into that game in October. Especially, yeah, we did. Especially Oklahoma's defensive line versus Texas's offensive line that had not looked good up until that game.
Yeah, Texas played really well that day.
Yeah.
All around, no question about it. But I think Texas is certainly superior at the skill positions. I think you would be a fool not to acknowledge that.
Yeah.
Especially by virtue of the additions of Coleman and Smothers and Brown. But I like Oklahoma better in the trenches. So what travels? What wins?
Yeah.
We'll know come October. But both teams have their own approach. Time will tell who is on the right end of the spectrum. 405-651-3439 is the text line. Much more ahead on the topic of OU football and recruiting, because that's all we talk about here on Locked In. Parker Thune, Grayson, Singleton. We'll be back with more on the other side. This is the Ref, the Oklahoma Sooner fans.
Locked In is brought to you every day by Dorsey Jones GMC in El Reno. Dorsey Jones GMC is family-owned and operated with a knowledgeable, low-pressure sales staff here to help you through the buying process and half-price oil changes on Saturdays. Visit dorsey-jonesgmc.com for more information.
For the professional, it's not enough to just possess knowledge. That's why at GMC, we seek to refine it, to wield its power, to redefine its boundaries, while pushing the limits. And we put this knowledge to the test in every GMC Sierra by engineering each one to outperform your expectations. So you know you're getting precision and durability when you need it most. And that's what makes the GMC Sierra the truck worth knowing. We are professional grade. See your Oklahoma GMC dealers.
Dealing with a water emergency in your home or business? Don't panic. Call Cavens Group right away. Hi, this is Reese from Cavens Group. Our fast response team is available 24/7 to extract water, dry your property, and prevent costly damage. With advanced equipment and certified technicians, we handle leaks, floods, and unexpected disasters quickly and professionally. Protect your property and peace of mind. Call Cavens Group at 405-573-3048 or visit cavensgroup.com.
Small businesses are the heart of America. But you don't have to go it alone. As the nation's largest nonprofit resource of expert business mentoring, SCORE has helped millions of entrepreneurs build their businesses for free. Get the connections, education, and guidance you need with SCORE. We're ready to help. Find a mentor today at score.org.
Introducing Jani-King, the greatest team to ever clean. We take pride in maintaining spotless environments, allowing local businesses to shine better than ever before. With our cutting-edge technology and expert team, we ensure every nook and cranny is pristine at Oklahoma Memorial Stadium. That's right, Jani-King is proud to be a partner of OU football and OU athletics. For commercial cleaning services, go to janiking.com. That's JANIKING.com. Jani-King, the king of clean, and go Sooners.
Hey everybody, Mike Steely here, your favorite regional radio star, inviting you to join us every day, noon to 2 here on The Ref with Parker Thune and myself. We'll be talking all things Sooner football, of course. I'll talk about the attention-seeking clowns as well. There's also no better way to take us with you everywhere than by downloading the KREF app, presented by Warren Cat on your Apple or Android device. We're talking about a great app here, folks. It's so easy, even this old man can do it. That's the KREF app presented by Warren Cat, proud sponsor of Sooner Athletics.
They don't want to hire you because your paper might say Oklahoma School for the Blind.
I was just completely homebound because I was always too afraid to go outside. I want to be a productive member of society, and that's what DRS has given me.
They offer you opportunities to getting a job, helping you learn how to advocate for yourself, find the best way to try living your life in the fullest way possible.
Oklahoma and DRS has been the biggest blessing in my life.
See me.
And not my disability.
Now. We tend not to think about now. We dream about tomorrow, relive yesterday. But right now in front of us is victory over cancer. Right now, cancer research funded by the V Foundation is leading to better treatments and saving lives. Victory over cancer is there for the taking by you, because today's cancer research is tomorrow's victory. Learn more at v.org.
Don't give up. Don't ever give up.
We're with Bridget, whose husband won't be home for months, and whose daughter is due any day. We're with Mike, who's leaving home to protect his family and yours. We're with all service members and their families who need community, connection, and maybe a bit of magic. Are you with them? Learn more at uso.org today.
Locked in here on The Ref, the Home of Sooner fans. Parker Thune, Grayson, Singleton with you on a Monday. You got plans for the national championship game tonight?
Yeah, the girlfriend's making dinner tonight. So
really?
Yeah, I think she's doing sweet potato nachos. So
sweet potato nachos.
Yep, that's something that her and I have made together a couple times. So I think that's
conceptually. Explain this to me.
Except chips, you have sweet potatoes. So you cut up the sweet potatoes, put them in the oven, and those serve as the chips.
Interesting.
Really good.
So are they like sweet potato wedges? Or
no, so just get your sweet potato.
Okay.
Slice it.
In half, or are you talking about
Yes.
Like coins almost.
Yes.
Like sweet potato coins.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
okay,
yes.
I'm tracking.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost like a loaded chips type of vibe here.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Interesting. Okay. Big sweet potato guy?
Not a big sweet potato guy, but I like them, and I definitely like them in this concept too.
I love sweet potatoes. I can't, I got to have them a certain way, though, because something about the texture of sweet potatoes when they're cooked a certain way, they trigger my gag reflex.
So that's interesting. So I was in Kansas City over the weekend, and one of the places we ate, we got blackened sweet potatoes that were caramelized with apple, little apple, diced up apples and marshmallows, melted marshmallows on top.
Okay.
It was one of the more intriguing ways I've eaten sweet potatoes. It was damn good.
You ever been to Bricktown Brewery?
Yes, I have.
Have you had their sweet potato fries?
I have not.
Boy. They got the hot honey.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like hot honey, caramel, and bacon.
Woo!
Absolutely legendary.
Hey, while we're on the topic of food, want to shout out our restaurant of the day today?
Yeah, by all means. The Brown Bag brought it, as they always do. And, folks, if you need food for tonight, grab it from the Brown Bag. Tenders, burgers, tacos. the good crinkle fries, which is an accomplishment in and of itself, Grayson, because as I said last hour, most crinkle fries suck.
Look, I think Brahms crinkle fries are good, but nah, man, the brown bag, excellent crinkle fries. And also, by the way, if you're like me right now and trying to drop a little bit of fat off your body, how about some chicken and avocado tacos? I ate about 3 of those today for lunch. Were excellent as well, in addition to the burgers and the fries and all that the brown bag brought for us.
Hey, I'm just saying this, and it sounds like you got pretty clearly defined plans, which is great, but standing invite to either you or Connor Pasby, in addition to your plus ones, you want to come out to Blanchard tonight, we'll feed you.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are you doing tonight?
Probably some burgers on pretzel buns.
Okay.
Because if you're going to make a burger, you got to do it on a pretzel bun.
I know. I know.
And then let's see what else. We'll have some chips and guac, obviously. I got a college buddy that's going to be bringing some brownies.
Okay.
We'll have a whole spread. So you can bring the sweet potatoes if you want to. 405 Taylor says, I feel you on the sweet potatoes, Grayson. I've been making burger bowls with sweet potatoes lately, and as the kids say, it's bussin'.
And sweet potatoes are so good for you, too. And if you make them with, like, some ground beef and stuff, get your protein in, there's a lot of really good things you can do with that.
All right, before we get to talk some sports, Tex, let's talk some sports. Grayson Singleton. Coach has been out on the road the last few days. Oklahoma's set to host a junior day on January 31st where they'll start to welcome some of the top prospects in the country back to town for visits. But in the meantime, coaches are on the road paying visits to some of the top prospects across the nation in whom Oklahoma has substantial interest. And I think the one that's going to be of heightened public interest, at least among the group of current commits for Oklahoma in the 2027 class going forward, Grayson, is going to be Trayvon Hall, 3-star wide receiver from Tuscaloosa Central High School down in Alabama. And the reason why is because, yes, he is verbally committed to Oklahoma. Yes, Emmett Jones visited with him this past Thursday. Yes, he is saying all the right things about his Oklahoma commitment, but on Friday he just got the Alabama offer.
Ooh, this will be fun.
And he's a hometown kid who quite understandably grew up a Bama fan. The school is literally 2 minutes away from his high school, so we're talking about, Alabama is in his backyard. And now he's got the offer from the Crimson Tide. He told me for OUinsider.com yesterday, full interview posted up there for those curious, but also mentioned he's going to be taking 5 OVs this summer. So he will be visiting other schools besides the University of Oklahoma. I think it's entirely fair to regard this commitment as a soft one moving forward. Doesn't mean it doesn't hold. And I've been skeptical before on recruitments that Oklahoma has eventually sealed the deal on, a la Daniel Odom last year, right? They held on to him when many believed that was not going to stick. But it is only natural that you should be approaching the Trayvon Hall recruitment, that whole process moving forward, with a healthy degree of skepticism as to whether Oklahoma is going to be able to hold on to him.
And look, Oklahoma, I think, when you mentioned that, they've got to start, and no doubt they have, because they're a program that has good leadership from the front office. You probably got to start making contingency plans for this one. And again, not saying that it is determined that he will not be in the class, but you're talking about a kid from Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Basically, we're talking about this in the same vein that we talked about a guy like Ben Kolar from right down the street. You're going to have some sort of, preferential treatment for a kid when you're in their backyard. So just one of those ones that you're going to have to monitor, make your contingency plans, keep pushing for the kid if that's what you intend to do. But this is one that is going to be a slow burn, and we'll find out come OV season where Oklahoma is still standing with Trayvon Hall.
And he's a pretty unique take for Oklahoma because if you've watched his film, it's not a lot of wide receiver reps. He's committed as a wide receiver, but the Sooners see him as more of like a slot weapon. The quintessential example that everyone loves to cite that no one will ever live up to is Tavon Austin. right? Like,
yes.
you think slot weapon, you think Tavon Austin. Think about a guy being the next Tavon Austin, even though the next Tavon Austin does not exist anywhere. But he plays a lot of running back at the high school level.
Mm-hmm.
He plays some snaps at quarterback. He'll line up at wide receiver, sure, but he's by no means bound to a singular position. And Oklahoma and most of the other schools that are recruiting him have a similar vision. We're going to move you around. You're not going to be a hard and fast wide receiver. Like, you're not going to be specifically tied to that position. We're just basically going to put you in the slot, let you move around, let you line up wherever, and be a matchup nightmare. And while that's a fun player to have, certainly, Grayson, it's far less essential in a recruiting class than certain other positions and certain other archetypes.
It's far less essential, and I'll say this, it presents a lot more variance in terms of what the development is going to be. Because Tavon Austin became Tavon Austin, but how many situations do we see where a guy is, all right, you do this, you do this, you do that, you do that. It's cool, you can do all these things, but you never really develop into one or the other, and ultimately it tanks how you can impact a game, because sometimes we just don't know how we're going to be able to ingratiate you into a flow of a given game once we get off script.
The last guy Oklahoma took that was along these lines in terms of usage at the high school level was Zion Reagans. And lest anyone think this is a direct apples-to-apples comparison between the two, Trayvon Hall is 6 feet tall and 180 pounds. So, a distinctly different animal than Zion Reagans, who is 5'8", 150, coming out of high school. He's a lot bigger than Zion Reagans was. But you're right. You're going to roster a guy like that. You have to find ways to use him. You have to create ways to use him. And Ben Arbuckle has said repeatedly, if I got guys that can play, I'll find ways to get him the ball. His whole thing from the jump was, I'm going to let the personnel dictate the scheme. So he'd be a fun piece in a Ben Arbuckle offense, no question. But if he winds up parting ways with Oklahoma and choosing to stay home and play for Alabama or going somewhere like Auburn or Ole Miss or Florida, 3 other schools that are heavily recruiting him, then I think he's replaceable in Oklahoma's class. Or at the very least, I don't think he's a guy you would be agonized to lose. There are certain guys in Oklahoma's 2027 class that it would really suck not to have anymore. Cooper Hackett, Caden Penny, obviously with them being in-state 5-stars, they're at the top of that list. But even a guy like, for instance, Mikhail Davis, the cornerback from the state of Arizona. If you've watched Mikhail Davis's tape,
it's impressive.
I think you understand that losing him would really, really hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's got Cortland Guillory type potential at OU and a Cortland Guillory type skill set.
3-star Glenn from Nashville. I know this is not a popular opinion amongst you and the media that follow recruiting more closely than I do, but I would not waste one single penny more recruiting the kid out of Tuscaloosa. Similarly to how I would never recruit kids from Louisiana, just too hard to get them out of those states. And look, that's fair. Like that's a fair sentiment that you can have, because now you're getting into the return on investment type of the conversation. Like, is it worth putting all these resources into guys that, I mean, just look at the Peyton Houston saga in the 2027 class, right? LSU starts to make itself more of a viable option. It flips the other way. Like, I do think it is reasonable to say, are we really going to get a return on the resources we pour in, knowing that as soon as Alabama comes to the table or as soon as LSU comes to the table, it could be all for naught?
And I get the other side of it in that you're trying to stick your foot in the door, in a sense, kind of like Oklahoma has done in Cali. And I know Cali is a totally different animal than the state of Louisiana and the state of Alabama, where you have LSU and you have Bama right there, in addition to Auburn and the state of Alabama, obviously. But once you get the foot in the door, if you get the foot in the door can swing wide open, as it has for Oklahoma in the state of California. The first one was Damari DeJean. Back in, what was that, September?
Mm-hmm.
They got Damari DeJean committed from the L.A. area. And ever since, they've been on a heater out west. They get Taven Epps. They get Jackson Stokes. They get Mikhail Davis. They get Crew Jones from the state of Utah. And once you get that foot in the door, you can reap huge returns on investment. But you have to get the foot in the door first. And there may be a way to do that in the state of Alabama. There may be a way to do that in the state of Louisiana. But if you're going to jam that foot in the door, you probably have to start with a kid that wasn't a lifelong LSU fan like Peyton Houston, or a kid that isn't 2 minutes away from the University of Alabama in Trayvon Hall. Like, I don't question that Oklahoma can establish a long-term recruiting presence in those states. I just think it's also fair to acknowledge they might not get their foot in the door with the two guys that they've tried to get their foot in the door with.
But you got to keep knocking on the door.
You got to.
You can't just give up. And as Chris from Knoxville points out, it's happened to Oklahoma because Alabama wasn't scared to come into Oklahoma and take Josh Jacobs.
That's why, and we may dig into this next segment, that's why I'm going to be really, really interested to see what kind of staying power Oklahoma has in Jamison Roberts' recruitment if and when the big boys in the Southeastern Conference, the local powers, start to get involved, as they now are for the quarterback out of Saraland, Alabama. Okay, folks, 405-651-3439 is how you tap in with us on the text line. One more segment of Locked In here on the other side. Keep it here on the Ref, the home of Sooner fans, and we'll be back.
A true Sooner fan wouldn't be caught dead without the KREF app. Join the Army. Get the app. Tell your friends. This is the Ref, where diehard Sooner fans listen.
F5 IPA by Coop Bellworks doesn't just hit, it touches down. Brace yourself for a hop-reckoning punch that'll blow your taste buds away. An iconic original that takes the proud title of Oklahoma's #1 selling IPA. Be sure to raise an F5 on game day.
Fowler Automotive is proud to be a part of your community, where our passion and values lie far beyond the showroom. We believe that families, sports, art, and culture are at the heart of every thriving community, and it's important to us that we help build the communities that our dealerships call home. Stop by any of our 6 Oklahoma dealerships to see the Fowler standard hard at work. We pride ourselves on being friendly, helpful, honest, and fair. This is what drives us every day. Fowler Automotive, a proud partner of OU Athletics.
Are you in need of purchasing your own health insurance? Are you turning 65 and confused about Medicare? Are you an employer looking at offering benefits to your staff? Call the agents at Allison Insurance. They'll sort through the confusion. They're not captive to just one company, and they'll get the best option for you. Don't get frustrated. Call Allison Insurance at 800-580-5587 or 745-2968. Allison Insurance. They are the experts.
Are you, your family, or company looking for a locally owned and trusted management group? Carlsbad Management Group is an owner, developer, and manager of high-quality apartment communities in Oklahoma. They are a locally owned and operated management company for apartments and self-storage units. They are committed to providing exceptional apartment homes, customer service, and increasing the value of multi-family communities under our management. If you would like a free management quote today, call Carlsbad Management at 405-701-1411 and be part of the Carlsbad family.
Winter weather won't stop Edmund Car Wash from keeping your ride spotless. The Broadway location features heated automatic bays that stay open even when temps drop to 8 degrees, so you'll always have a place to wash off winter grime. Choose fast, touchless automatics, or do it yourself. Free vacuums, mat cleaners, and more are included. Edmund Car Wash, where your car shines, rain or snow.
Hi, this is Peggy Doviak of DM Wealth Management, and we've been working with the residents of Norman for over 20 years as we help them solve questions about their cash flow, retirement savings, or tax planning. We also offer portfolio management solutions to help people meet their financial goals. We would love to help you plan your prosperity. Check us out at dmwealth.com.
Hey, it's Darian Oka for Totally Tickets. Hey, Ref Army, you looking for the best place to buy tickets to your next OU game, Thunder game, or the best concerts? My friend Mike, call him Fletch, and Totally Tickets has you covered. Visit TotallyTickets.com to find your event today. Oh, and good news, Ref Army, just type in the promo code KREF and get up to 10% off your purchase. Go to TotallyTickets.com now. They are the best.
Touchdown, Schooner time. Raise a can of Schooner All-American Ale brewed by Coop Ale Works, the official craft beer of OU Athletics. Join the 82,000 OU faithful cheering in the stadium no matter where you are, celebrating a Sooner win. Boomer!
At Confidence Ford of Norman, we believe in living up to our name. Our commitment to confidence is in everything we do. Whether you're searching for the perfect vehicle from our extensive selection of new Ford models or pre-owned cars, our dedicated team will help you every step of the way. Because with us, your family. We're conveniently located at 825 North Interstate Drive. Confidence Ford of Norman, a Cavender Auto Family dealership where confidence is Cavender.
Final segment of Locked In here on the Ref. Oklahoma Sooner fans. Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton with you. Grayson, I guess Oklahoma's work isn't necessarily done in the portal, but the portal window is closed. We may see a few more entries trickle on through Tuesday and Wednesday as schools get around to processing paperwork on the other side of the long administrative holiday weekend. But this provides a natural opportunity for us to evaluate what Oklahoma has done on the whole throughout this transfer portal window. Here's what we've got. I'll rattle them all off for those that haven't been up to speed on all of the Sooners additions in the transfer portal thus far. Lloyd Avant, transfer running back from Colorado State. Trell Harris, transfer wide receiver from Virginia. Parker Livingston, transfer wide receiver from Texas. Mackenzie Elaine, transfer wide receiver from Washington State. Hayden Hansen, tight end from Florida. Rocky Beers, tight end from Colorado State. Jack Van Dorselaer, tight end from Tennessee. Amarian Harris, offensive tackle from Arkansas. Caleb Nitta, interior offensive lineman from Western Kentucky. Peyton Joseph, interior offensive lineman from Georgia Tech. And then on the defensive side of the ball, Bishop Thomas, defensive tackle from Georgia State. Kenny Ozawalu, defensive tackle from UTSA. Cole Sullivan, linebacker from Michigan. And then two defensive backs, Dakota Fields from Oregon, and most recently, Prince Ijeoma from Mississippi Valley State. I don't know if you and I have had a chance to talk about Prince Ijeoma yet, because you weren't here for Locked In on Friday.
No, which also meant we haven't had a chance to talk about Van Dorselaer.
Yeah, Van Dorselaer.
Van Dorselaer. There we go.
Jack Van Dorselaer, love the pickup for Oklahoma. I think he's a guy that plays immediately in 2026, but he also has 3 years of eligibility. So to me, this is a guy that instantaneously projects as your starter at the position in 2027.
Yes.
Because he didn't redshirt this past year for Tennessee, played a ton for them as a true freshman. Yes, he dropped the 4th and 2 pass against Oklahoma, but obviously won't make a practice of that once he gets to Norman. Ijeoma was kind of the curveball. It was a little out of left field. Transfer defensive back from Mississippi Valley State, who committed to Oklahoma on Friday. And have you had the chance to watch the tape on him yet, Grayson?
Not just yet.
Okay. And Ted and I had this conversation Friday at the tail end of the rush. It's good tape. You can see the appeal in the eyes of the Oklahoma staff in the front office as to what he can become with the proper seasoning and technical polishing. He's played 2 years at MVSU, so he's got 3 to play 2. He can take a red shirt, and he's got 2 years of eligibility left to use in Norman. This might be a guy that you stash for a year. This might be a guy, and I think Kenny Ozawalu's kind of in that same conversation. Can you afford to redshirt them in 2026? If the answer proves to be yes in fall camp, and you can just tell them, hey, pack it in, learn what you can, be a sponge this year, then I think you can kind of start to get excited about what those guys can be in 2027. I think Ozawalu is somebody that could play his way onto the field in 2026. I don't think there's that same potential there, at least not to that degree with Ijeoma, but at 6'3", 190, got some strong, albeit not dominant, FCS tape. you can understand why Jim Nagy and his folks, given the way that they enjoy measurables in particular, would be enamored with a kid like this.
And I think in terms of numbers and construction and finances and stuff like that, it makes sense to bring on a guy like Ujioma because, yes, you're going to stash him right, but also if you can just get a little bit out of the measurables and expand beyond the measurables just a little bit in the event of injury or in terms of, having to rotate an extra guy down for a play or two, you could maybe get some production out of there and not be in as much of a disadvantage as you would have been if you were not there. So I look at this from the perspective of roster construction and finances and whatnot. So if you get a guy who has the size to do it and you can coach him up just a little bit, I think this is a dude that in a spot would be okay, but obviously more of a long-term play.
No doubt. I think the number is 15 when we're looking at total transfer acquisitions for Oklahoma. In addition to the fact that you got Ivan Carion back after he was supposed to leave, but didn't. He's now returned. If you missed that, that news is official. We talked about it at the top of the show. Ivan Carion is coming back to Oklahoma. But amongst those 15, well, let's zoom out and look at the 15 in total. What do you think of that group? That 15, when it comes to addressing needs and filling holes heading into 2026, how would you grade the work that Oklahoma did?
A-. I'll go with an A-, maybe a grade of like a 90. And I think they got more explosive at wide receiver, which is going to help, which is absolutely going to help. Cole Sullivan, I think, is a much-needed addition, especially with the feeling that Owen Heineke isn't going to be back. I like Cole Sullivan because he also upgrades something, too, in terms of pass coverage from the linebacker perspective. So I do like that. Still would like a little bit more depth on the offensive line, but the upgrades at wide receiver, tight end, and linebacker with Sullivan gives this one an A- for me.
Oh, we have a poll on the YouTube chat, by the way.
Yes, we do.
Let us know who you think the most impactful addition for Oklahoma in the portal is going to wind up being. Terrell Harris, Parker Livingston, Hayden Hansen, somebody else. Let us know via the YouTube chat if you're tuning in on YouTube. But
poll's closed, by the way.
Oh, it is closed?
Yeah, the poll just closed, by the way. We have the results.
What are the results?
36% of you that are watching on YouTube said Trell Harris.
Okay.
30% Cole Sullivan. 25% Parker Livingston, and 9% other.
That's a pretty even split between those three.
And
that's close to true.
Have we not spent enough time talking about Trell Harris?
We probably haven't spent enough time talking about Trell Harris, no. Because what happened that day? There was something that upstaged the Trell Harris news, and for the life of me, I can't remember what it is or what it was. What would have upstaged the Trell Harris news? That's a third-team All-ACC wide receiver at the University of Virginia, and I think Parker Livingston is the highest ceiling guy in Oklahoma's room next year at wide receiver, but bringing Isaiah Satania back and then integrating Trell Harris into the attack makes Oklahoma, and you use the proper word, so much more explosive. So much more explosive. You now have three wide receivers, three different guys that you're going to be able to trot out there, probably alongside one another, because I would guess this is your starting lineup at receiver. But between Satania, Livingston, and Trell Harris, you have three guys that are the polar opposite of one-trick ponies. They can all make plays at all three levels. And you can't lose track of any of those guys.
Oh, no.
You can't act ho-hum towards any of those guys.
And then you've got improvement at tight end, too. So whether you're running 6'7", Hayden Hansen out there, or Rocky Beers out there who had a really good year at Colorado State, or Van Dorselaer as well, you can't lose track of him either.
I tell you, man, long-term, the two guys that get me the most excited are Parker Livingston and Trell Harris. Not Trell Harris, excuse me. Parker Livingston and Jack Van Dorselaer.
Sure.
Because they each have 3 years of eligibility left. They both have already produced early as it is in their collegiate careers, and I think both have shown that there's a lot more to unlock in their respective game. And so those could be cornerstone pieces for Oklahoma. You fast forward all the way to like 2028. Those guys are still around and they're program cornerstones. That's a legit possibility.
Mm-hmm.
Love those two and what they're going to bring to the offense. Now, does Livingston have a 1,000-yard season in 2026? Probably not. I don't know if any wide receiver at Oklahoma has a 1,000-yard year in 2026 with how balanced they're going to be able to be.
I was about to say, it'll be spread around too much.
I would say you're probably going to have 3 or 4 guys that are 607-yard receivers, 600, 700 yards apiece, and one of those may be a tight end. But I don't know if you have a 1,000-yard receiver in the mix. Could Parker Livingston be a 1,000-yard receiver later on down the line? Absolutely he could. Could Jack Van Dorselaer be an all-SEC type tight end at some point down the line? Once
Probably.
Hayden Hansen and Rocky Beers have moved along. Yes, he absolutely could. Love those two and the long-term stability that they offer at their respective positions for Oklahoma.
Reformed Homer says B+ on the grades. A, if they could get a quarterback that could actually challenge Mateer.
Yeah, good luck. You're not going to find a quarterback that could actually challenge John Mateer for, I would say, less than $750,000, $800,000.
That could challenge Mateer?
And if
Are
we're talking
not in the 1.5 range for that?
And if you're talking about, I'm talking about like push him. If you're talking about a guy that could beat out John Mateer, yes, you're well into 7 figures at that point. So quarterbacks are not cheap, like period. If y'all knew what Michael Hawkins made at West Virginia to go there with 5 career collegiate starts to his name, you would understand how expensive it is these days to bring in a quarterback that is worth anything. John Mateer is your guy in 2026. And if Oklahoma was going to spend money in the transfer portal in 2026, they were going to spend it to try and make John Mateer better. Getting him elite skill position weapons rather than trying to find somebody that could upstage John Mateer, find somebody that could outflank John Mateer in the quarterback battle. Because, I mean, let's be honest, and I wasn't opposed to the idea of bringing in a transfer quarterback that could contend with Mateer until I very quickly realized just how crazy the market was going to be for signal callers. Because let's say you spend the money to go bring in another guy that can start. And let's say he beats out John Mateer. Suddenly, you have 7 figures of what is effectively dead money riding pine.
Yep. You're basically what the Falcons are doing with Kirk Cousins.
Exactly.
Until Michael Penix got hurt.
Great analogy right there. Why do you sign Kirk Cousins? Or, alternatively, why do you draft Michael Penix? Why do you give yourself 2 high-dollar options at the position when you could reallocate that funding elsewhere to go all in with one quarterback and try to surround him with the sufficient weapons that he needs to be able to play his best ball in 2026? And that's what Oklahoma's counting on.
Which is why this year, it's John Mateer, you got to improve, or you're going to be the limiting factor once again. I mean, you can't set him up any better.
Puerto Rican Sooner, boom, there you go. It's like Jaden Ott, but worse. Yeah, Jaden Ott made darn close to 7 figures to do nothing this year at Oklahoma.
I say he was stealing money.
Uh-huh. And so there's no – if you brought in another high-dollar signal caller to compete with John Mateer, somebody's going to win that battle and somebody's going to lose that battle. And whoever loses the battle, half the fan base, if not more, is going to hate, short-term and long-term, because they were eating up a chunk of Oklahoma's payroll to effectively do nothing.
Yeah.
To sit the bench.
A texter in the 310, where do we find out how much Michael Hawkins made at West Virginia, or anyone else for that matter? Is this public information, since most of these are state universities? I don't think it's public, but I cannot wait for the day that it is. I cannot wait till we get those tweets. Somebody has signed with so-and-so for 2 years, and 3 point, and they're starting to trickle out now. If you follow, especially the guys at On3, they're starting to trickle out. But I cannot wait for the day it becomes commonplace.
Well, and if that day ever comes that student athletes are officially designated as employees, then at least at public universities, their salaries are all public record.
That is true.
So USC, being a private school, will be able to keep a lid on things as they typically do, but. No, all the public universities will have all of their football players' salaries subjected to.
And I'll tell you what, I cannot just wait for the text line to hear so-and-so made this amount of much of money, and that'll make our conversations that much more livelier.
Mm-hmm. Reformed Homer wanted to know, I wonder what Ole Miss paid for Chambliss. Not nearly as much as they got. Like, the juice was well worth the squeeze in that case.
Yeah.
The juice would probably not be worth the squeeze for Oklahoma to go add insert decently productive FBS starting quarterback here to contend with John Mateer. Like Colton Joseph, who went to Wisconsin. You had that guy, and that wasn't even like a top 5, probably not even top 10 option available in the portal. You're spending 7 figures still. Okay, folks. We'll do it all again tomorrow. We'll have a national champion tomorrow. Have a great evening, whatever your plans are for the national championship game. And for Grayson Singleton, I am Parker Thune. We will do it all again tomorrow. Same time, same place here on the Ref, the Home of Sooner fans.